Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim today unveiled his latest cabinet lineup, featuring a major reshuffle of ministerial portfolios. In a press conference today, Anwar said the adjustments were necessary to fill vacancies in the cabinet.
Dan ada keperluan untuk membuat sedikit penyesuaian supaya ada kabinet bekerja sebagai satu pasukan dan menumpukan perhatian bagi menjana pertumbuhan ekonomi yang lebih segar dan menyelesaikan masalah rakyat.
Among the changes was the dropping of PKR's Dr. Zaliha Mustafa as Federal Territories and Naim Mokhtar as Religious Affairs Minister. Several ministers were also reassigned to new portfolios. Johari Abdul Ghani, who had helmed the Plantations and Commodities Ministry as well as the Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability portfolio, was appointed Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry. Former Youth and Sports Minister Yeoh was named the new Federal Territories Minister, while R. Ramanan, previously the Deputy Minister for Entrepreneur and Cooperatives Development, was elevated to Human Resources Minister. The reshuffle also saw new ministerial appointments, including Akmal Nasir as Economy Minister, Zulkifli Hassan as Minister for Islamic Affairs, Mustafa Sakmud as Minister for Sabah and Sarawak Affairs, and Maharma Rosli as Deputy Minister for Islamic Affairs. There were also several changes in portfolios for deputy ministers, including Liu Chintong, who was appointed Deputy Finance Minister after serving as Deputy Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry. This is the full cabinet lineup, and a full list of new appointments and change of portfolios can be found on malaysiakini.com. Following the announcement by Anwar on the cabinet, a PAS leader has offered his condolences, mourning what he claimed was the death of reformasi. This was due to Anwar's decision to retain the finance portfolio. In a post on Facebook, PAS Information Chief Ahmad Fadhli Shaari said the new cabinet has finally been announced and the Prime Minister is still the Finance Minister. He added that the key promise of reformasi has now been officially buried. Condolences. Harapan's 2018 manifesto had stated that the Prime Minister would not hold any other portfolios. However, the coalition's manifesto for the 2022 election did not include it. At the time, then Economy Minister and Anwar's second-in-command in PKR, Rafizi Ramli, defended the Prime Minister serving as Finance Minister as a suitable move given the extraordinary circumstances of his government. Rafizi said in his opinion it was a tough decision to make because it was likely that the various parties that formed the government wanted the Finance Minister post to be on their side. Rafizi, who has since resigned from the cabinet, had also expressed hope at the time that it would be a temporary arrangement. Meanwhile, Anwar had defended the move, saying that the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister holding ministerial portfolios is not a contradiction to the Harapan manifesto.
From now on, you can also listen to KiniNews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Scan the QR code on the screen to follow us.
MIC President S.A. Vigneswaran said his party is in no rush to decide on whether or not to leave BN. His remarks came after BN chairperson Ahmad Zahid Hamidi warned MIC not to regret its decision should it choose to exit the coalition. Vigneswaran said Zahid appeared overly eager for MIC to make an immediate decision on its future, adding that the party should be allowed to determine its own direction without pressure. Speaking to Malaysia Kini, he said MIC had taken note of Zahid's warning but stressed that the party should not be rushed into a decision given the current unstable political climate. He added that MIC would make a decision in due course and inform the BN leadership formally through a letter in the near future. Vigneswaran was commenting on Zahid's speech on Sunday, stating that parties leaving BN should not regret their decision as politics is dynamic and the landscape constantly changes. Zahid also took a swipe at MIC, claiming the party kept coming in and going out, while alleging there were applications to rejoin Perikatan Nasional without specifying who he was referring to. Previously, MIC said it had only sent a letter to PN inquiring about the membership process. PKR has replaced Shamsul Iskandar Akin as its Malacca chief amid his ongoing corruption trial. PKR Secretary General Fuzia Saleh said the party's political bureau has appointed Adam Atli Abdul Halim to lead the Malacca State Leadership Council in an acting capacity. Adam, who is the Hang Tuah Jaya MP and Malacca PKR Deputy Chairperson, will assume the role with effect from December 15th. Fuzia said Shamsul's position as Hang Tuah Jaya PKR Division Chief remains unchanged. Responding to his appointment, Adam said the decision was made collectively and is temporary to allow Shamsul to focus on resolving his legal proceedings. He added that his priority during this period is to maintain party stability and organizational discipline while strengthening early preparations for the upcoming Malacca state election. On December 4th, Shamsul pleaded not guilty at the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court to 4 charges of accepting 176,830 ringgit in bribes from businessperson Albert Tay.
If you like the stories we produce, consider supporting us by subscribing to Malaysia Kini. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen to subscribe.
Businessperson Albert Tay has called on the police to release CCTV footage of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission's MACC raid on his home in Puchong, Selangor last month. This follows remarks by Selangor Police Chief Shazeli Kahar, who said police have yet to find evidence that MACC officers had pointed firearms at Tay and his wife Lee Pei Ri during the raid. In a statement issued this morning, Tay said Shazeli's comments made yesterday were inconsistent with the facts. He said the most crucial evidence in the case was the CCTV recording device seized by MACC officers during the operation at his home. Tay added that he had provided the investigating officer with the username and password to access and review the CCTV footage. As such, he questioned who within the police force had viewed the footage and whether it was sufficient to substantiate his allegations. Expressing puzzlement over the police's claim of insufficient evidence, Tay urged authorities to immediately make the CCTV footage public so that justice could be served for him and his family. Yesterday, Shazeli said police had not found evidence to support claims that MACC personnel pointed guns at Tay and his wife, citing preliminary findings after investigators recorded statements from all MACC officers involved in the operation. He added that police had also obtained CCTV footage from the residents as well as recordings of telephone conversations, which have been submitted to the forensic unit for further examination and analysis. Sabah DAP Chief Fong Jinzhe is mounting legal action against controversial businessperson Albert Tay for linking him to the Sabah mining license scandal in a recent podcast show. In a statement yesterday, Fong said he felt disgusted and outraged over the allegations made against him and labeled them as a complete distortion of facts. He stated that he had immediately consulted his lawyers and is preparing to initiate legal action to firmly defend his reputation and integrity. He added that he has never initiated any meetings with Albert or stated any remarks such as who doesn't love money or anything of that nature. Fong, who is a former Sabah Industrial Development Minister, said he only had one meeting with Tay on March 22, 2023, and stressed that it was not prearranged but one that Tay himself insisted on having. Fong also alleged that Tay had attempted to persuade him to approve the formation of a concession company to manage Sabah's scrap metal exports during their meeting. He added that after the meeting, however, it was unanimously agreed that Tay's proposals could not be accepted, and there was no follow-up from then on. The China press had previously reported Tay as saying in the podcast that he was invited to meet Fong by the latter's political secretary, Chan Long Wei, purportedly to inquire about the mining scandal situation. Tay claimed that Fong had met him privately to discuss the mining license issue and accused him of not reporting it to the MACC, despite being aware that the matter involved corruption. Tay, however, concurred that he did not give Fong money as he did with several other lawmakers.